we all ask ourselves, how am I going to become the person I want to be? It's three things: the vision in your mind, the feeling in your soul, and the movement of your body. It's your life. What's your purpose? This is The Healthy Grind. We are live on The Healthy Grind, the very first episode, and I'm sitting here with Sawandi Wilson.
Yes, man. Honored
For
to
a
be
reason. For a reason. I gotta say this. Thank you.
Of course.
From the bottom of my heart, Sawandi, because this podcast wouldn't exist without you pushing me.
Thank you, man.
So
yeah,
there's a few things I really want to cover and talk about. First and foremost, what this Healthy Grind movement is all about. It really kind of started with our connection in fitness. That's why I had you dress up the way you dressed up today.
It is.
Start to show off right.
I just came out of the gym too.
Yeah, I could tell with the veins pumping.
Gotta get it in early.
You eat right. And it's about finding a healthy balance in your life.
Yeah.
And some of the things we're going to talk about today is around your lifestyle and your experiences in being an actor.
Yeah.
And living the healthy grind.
Yeah.
So, how long have you been living the healthy grind?
I would say I've been committed to a healthy grind about 4 years, for real. Because the healthy grind isn't just about what you eat, it's about what you ingest mentally. So when I wake up in the morning, first thing I do is I'll journal, right? Then I'll meditate. Then I will, I'll prayer or do some sort of thing in gratitude and set my intention for the day and, ask for guidance. And then I'll go about my day. Without those things, I feel lost. And that's not something that I was doing about maybe 6 years ago.
You're a fit guy.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
You're sitting in front of me with a tank top on.
Yeah.
And if you go on Sawandi Wilson's fan page, this guy's got maybe 10, maybe more photos of you half naked.
Yeah.
And they got a lot of likes.
Well,
so that doesn't take 4 years. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Your background in fitness is what?
My background in fitness is b-boying first. That's definitely one of my first loves. And though I don't have all the time in the world to pursue it the way that I would like to, it's still something that is really important to my everyday life, and it grounds me so deeply. And lifting and just constantly going on the adventure for different movements that inform me, not just to look good or stay in shape. It's not how much, Iro Portal says, like, how much can you lift, bro? Nah, fuck that. What can you do with those muscles? Can you move?
Yeah.
Are you good? Are you healthy? Like, what's your everyday with your movement? Are you the real fucking deal? Can you do pull-ups? Can you touch your toes? Can you put your hands on the ground and move with that without struggling and just be able to explore movement and explore within yourself? Like, that's what it's about for me.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's what the grind is. The grind is the everyday.
Right.
It's the consistency. And that part has been with you for so long.
Yeah.
So I think what you're getting at in talking about the last 4 years is that there's another element to the healthy grind.
Absolutely.
And that's the mental element.
Yeah.
And so,
well, also, you know what? I learned a lot from you too, man, because when I was dabbling in personal training for a bit and getting my education on, I learned about the significance of not just, lifting weights, but the mental aspect of it, of being positive mentally. And also, as much as you lift, you got to also rest. And on the other side of that, with the triangle, is the nutrition.
right.
That's all so important. It's the trifecta of it all, because if you don't have all those things and balance all those things, you're not going to heal. You're not going to absorb that. You're not going to fire the way that you want.
Right. So talk about your nutrition, right? So the triangle you're talking about, and that I explain to my clients is that you basically have, your fitness, your nutrition, and, your mental, essentially. And you need a good balance in all three.
Yeah.
So where does your balance come in terms of your nutrition? Because that is going to go a long way in what you're saying in terms of performance, both mentally and physically.
Yeah. So for my nutrition,
What's in that cup?
that's coffee right there.
That's coffee.
That's
Okay.
coffee.
Is there anything in the coffee? How
Don't
do you
worry
take your
about
coffee?
that. Don't worry about that. A little secret. No. I take my coffee. Usually, I take it black, but there's a little bit of creamer downstairs.
Okay.
Try to stay away from the sugars.
Mm-hmm.
But it's rough, man.
Mm-hmm.
The sugar is like a heroin. It's like a heroin addiction, man. I can't stop. But I try to find balances within it because that's my biggest struggle of all. The sugar.
What kind of sugar?
Oh, the worst kinds.
Yeah.
The worst, the artificial cakes,
Okay.
Cupcakes, cookies.
Okay, you got a little bit
Don't
of a
get
sweet
me
tooth.
started, man.
Yeah.
I get the itches. I
Yeah.
get the veins popping out.
But I think that's also a natural feeling for a lot of people because first of all, we live in a society that's got everything at at the palms of your hands. Like you can go anywhere and get whatever you want. Any type of food, any type of sweet. So
it just psychologically, as I look back, it takes me to a place of childhood. And there's nothing more, like when you look at it, really, when you're looking for somebody to date or whatever, there's nothing more seductive than being taken back to a place where you have no worries and you have nothing to, it's just a place where everything's okay. So mentally, that's what sweets do for me. And that's why it's such a dangerous place for me to go, because it gives me so much happiness, right? But what I try to do in the sense of like rewarding, because you can't stay away from things that you love like that for too long, I try to find the balance within it, right? So for me, like protein bars that have like 1 gram of sugar, like that holds me over until I need my fix. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like that holds me over for a bit.
I think for the purpose of the people that are listening or watching us, everyone has some type of struggle with foods. Let's be real. And for everybody, it's different. Me, I tend to go more salty. I'm a pretzel guy. I like potato chips. And if I'm in that craving mode, I'll eat a whole bag. I will. Peanut M&Ms is going down.
Yeah.
But obviously you and I live the fit lifestyle also. And in order to kind of accomplish my goals, and I know your goals too, there's got to be a balance. It's like the thing that works for me is that I just won't buy it, and if it's not in sight, if it's a red flag item, I just can't be around it.
Yeah.
And that's what works for me.
Yeah.
So with you, what's the thing that works best?
Planning ahead of time and just kind of mapping it out. Like, there's some people who meal prep 30 days in advance, 10 days in advance. For me, I take it 3 days at a time because that's what's most realistic for me, right? A lot of the time, what my commute is like an hour and a half to Manhattan and then an hour and a half back to Long Island a lot of the time.
And that's for the acting, right?
For the acting, for auditions, for things like that. So a lot of the time, what I have to just plan ahead of time is when I get hungry on the way home or when I get hungry on the way to the city. So what I'm finding, especially now that it's summertime, just looking for fruits that kind of quench that sweet tooth.
Okay.
So watermelon, melon, pineapple, just before when I feel that sweet tooth coming on, just preemptively, get a banana, get anything that I can to kind of attack it before it comes back up. And sure enough, it helps a lot. I haven't had candy in a while, man.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It shows. It shows.
Yeah, I'm not fucking around, bro.
Well, I'm not either. It's summertime. But I do have to bring something up because a very important part of, I think, what you and I both go through, and the reason why this podcast exists is that mental thought of I'm not good enough. So the reason why it took me so long to do this podcast is because I always thought I just wasn't good enough to do it, or I wasn't ready to do it.
Yeah.
And how does that play out in your life in terms of acting, right? And because like this is a real scenario that everybody kind of goes through, where I deal with it directly in fitness, where people are in shape that I train, and they're like, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
They're still a little bit of fat. I'm like, hold on a second. Can we be grateful? Can you just accept where you are right now, and let's build off of that? And for knowing you as long as I've known you, the beautiful thing is that I've been able to see firsthand
Mm-hmm.
some of your growth,
Mm-hmm.
and it's inspiring.
Thank you
And
very
that's why,
much.
I had to have you here. But it's also something that has helped me
Yeah.
kind of overcome some of my uh, mental blocks
Mm-hmm.
where I don't feel like I'm good enough or I don't feel like I'm ready. And you've done it for me even in dance,
Yeah.
where sometimes I've been recovering from a couple injuries, a hernia, and you were like, "Come on, man, let's move." And I was just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay, let's do it. And you pushed me.
Yeah.
So as an actor
Mm-hmm.
who's always under the gun,
Yeah.
having to show up to these auditions,
Mm-hmm.
being judged on a scale that I don't even know,
Yeah.
how do you deal with that?
Let me tell you something, man. There's 3 different levels that you were talking about that are really interesting, right? So on the one hand, it's like, the self, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're working out and you're like, you got an off day, you just had time where you weren't as consistent as you would have liked to have been. And then you're looking at yourself and you kind of got to just like, keep your head down and trust the process within that. Then you have the other part of it, which is the breaking. And it's so interesting you bring these different parts up because they're such huge parts of my life,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Where it's like, I always love the breaking culture because no matter what gig that I book, no matter what it is that I book, if I'm looking whack in the ciphers, no one's going to give me props.
yeah,
And I fucking love that because
yeah.
it's not about notoriety there. It's not about like the last thing that I booked. If you're whacking the cipher, you whacking the cipher. If you don't make top 8, you don't make top 8. You know what I mean? Judges aren't going to be like, well, he's been working hard and he is on Netflix. He did book Law and Order. Nah, fuck that. What are you doing right here, right now? And that's always something that's something that I'm really insecure about. So because of that, I stay in that fight because that's where growth lives. That fight of insecurity of like not knowing that you're good enough. You've done it for a while and it is your piece and
Mm-hmm.
it's something that you love really deeply, but you you if you don't stay with it, it lets you know. And then in the acting world, I never feel good enough. But I just don't.
Yeah,
I
I
just
know.
don't. And honestly, for the things that I've booked, I'll tell you what, I am a very lucky person. I work really hard. And coming up, I always felt like, I'll tell you what, I felt like I had a learning disability for a very long time
What do you
because
mean? Yeah.
a lot of the times you get a script, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in that script, you might have 3 pages that you got to learn, or you might have 10 pages that you got to learn, or 5 pages. For a long time, I couldn't learn. Like, I was coming from a school of thought that it was about the story and it's about, the emotional depth of the character. Don't worry about the words. Then you go into the world of TV where it's all about the words and the pacing and getting it down with pacing, get the tempo, get the tempo. And I was really insecure because I couldn't let myself go because I just didn't feel confident with learning the words. So for a long time, I felt really insecure about that. I didn't go to Juilliard. I didn't go to NYU. I didn't go to any
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
school of theater. Never. And here I am. I have a recurring role on Netflix. I have another film that I just booked the lead role in a feature film. I have by the age of 25, I reached one of my lifelong goals of having a film that releases worldwide, and I'm the lead in that. Did not go to school for theater.
Mm.
Very lucky. The one thing that I've ever had that works for me is, the love in my heart for what it is that I do and
Right.
just keeping my head down and focusing on that. Because my insecurity runs fucking wild every day. Every day of my life, my insecurity is there, whether I like it or not. It is alive and well, and it is breathing. But without my meditation, without prayer, without any of those things, my insecurity will surely get the best of me.
Well, I think it's also coaching.
Yeah.
And one thing you haven't brought up is that you invest a lot into coaching,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and I do too. And this is also where we connect, where we value continuing education, we
Yeah.
value growth, we value being challenged, and we value encouragement.
Yeah.
And this is why, again, this is happening because if 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 it means you going from here to there, there's a lot that comes with that.
Yeah.
right? So it's time.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the time that you've invested to get to where you are now.
Mm-hmm.
What if we talk about the money?
Yeah.
How much money have you spent last year? How much money did you spend last year on making yourself better?
Bro,
Tell me. Give
it
me a
never
number.
ends. I would say I've invested maybe like close to 5 figures.
Okay. So break it
But
down
yeah.
for me. Break it down for me.
Well, it goes into acting coaching, right? Then it
Okay.
goes into fitness coaching. Then it goes into education within all those different things.
Mm-hmm.
Then it goes into breaking because that's something that I do for myself that I love that helps me to feel sane when none of the world really makes much sense. I go to breaking. I don't care if I've been breaking or practicing for every day. I'm not training for fucking Red Bull BC1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this for my soul.
For
You know
your
what I'm
soul.
saying? Then there's that, right? Then there's the other side of it, which is the groceries, making sure that I eat well. Then there's the commuting from wherever I gotta be in the world for red carpet. Or, funny enough, I had to fly myself out to LA because I had what's called a screen test for a major television company. I did this twice within a year and a half. I never got the role, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's something that you got to factor in New York to LA, and then
Right.
you got to factor in coaching for that.
Right.
And it's like that Wayne Gretzky quote, like
You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
absolutely. So I take all the fucking shots. I take 1,000% of the shots like a fool, like an idiot every time, and somehow I'm able to get hope within my heart every single time, like a kid at Christmas time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Believing in Santa Claus and all that. I'm really grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that I have that I'm able to generate within myself every day.
Yeah, and I think that's what people don't see.
Yeah.
In you
Mm-hmm.
is that they just see, okay, hey, you're making an appearance on this, you booked that, you're half naked on Instagram. It's fantastic, but what they're not seeing, and this is this is the social media craze that we're posting up just little snippets,
Mm-hmm.
and there's people out there that are really doing shit, and there's people that aren't.
Yeah.
But with what I've seen from you, it is the time, it's the effort, it's the passion,
Mm-hmm.
and so where do you want to take that? What's like the next level for you? Like, where's it going?
Yeah. Great. Good question. So to go back and talk about like half naked pictures on Instagram, that's not just thirst traps. It's not just that. It's like when I'm old, like when I'm 70, 80 years old, I want to look back and see that I've lived my best life, not just by traveling and by accolades, but also by the way in which I took care of my body and my mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my father's older right now. He's diabetic and he has trouble walking, and he did that because a lot of the time he worked and he wasn't able to do the things that he could take care of himself physically, and he sacrificed a lot for my brothers and my sister, right? So although I love him and I love what he's done, I never want to be in a position to where I have trouble walking.
Mm.
So I want that to be like a visual reminder of if I'm slipping, right? Where do I want to take it? I want to take it to a place of where I'm always rediscovering what my apex is as an individual, right? Whatever I thought my highest potential to be, level up that. Be even higher than that. In acting, in movement, in production, all the areas where my heart lives, that's where I always want to challenge myself to be better and better and better than I ever thought I could be.
Sure, but give me something specific.
Okay.
Give me some of the meat, because that's people want to hear that.
Got you.
They want to know.
I want to book a series regular. I would like to get into capoeira.
Okay.
I would like to start training air flares again. Yeah. Fuck
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Why
yeah,
not, right?
Yeah.
I wanna just actually the Alchemy Podcast is gonna be coming out soon. And I wanna get some amazing guests to inspire young creatives. And like myself, one of the biggest things that I value is having encouragement along the way, because I didn't always have the best examples growing up, right? And that's why I go after education in the ways that I do, because I was so thirsty for it for such a long time and I never knew where to get it, and I didn't have the resources about going after it. So when I find it, I sink my fucking teeth in and I get that shit. And I try to, I try to just milk it for whatever it's worth and also give back when I can. So create opportunities for myself and the people that I consider to be my tribe. And yeah.
Tell me about the Alchemy Podcast.
Alchemy in itself is the medieval art of taking copper or silver or a metal that's not gold and transmutating it into gold. Now we're talking about circumstantial alchemy now, right? Now that's taking a circumstance. For example, I didn't book the screen test when I went to LA twice, right?
Yeah.
I didn't book a million other things. I failed, done things that I just fell flat on my face on. And instead of me being like, oh man, I gotta give up, I gotta find a job, I gotta bartend, I gotta do this, instead of that, how can I make myself better? How can I use those stories to inspire other people? How can I grow from that? That's what that's about. But connecting with other young leaders, other young artists and entrepreneurs, and hearing their stories about how they went through very similar experiences and been like, you can't even believe what I've been through. And it's like, wow, I'm not alone in this. And when you have a feeling of being on a journey that a lot of people don't take, a lot of my friends are getting married right now, or they got a 401k, they're doing that. I don't have none of that shit. But I'm going after something that not a whole lot of people are going for. Not for praise or accolades, but because that's what my heart wants. Sure. When you're doing that, it's easy to feel alone, and I just want other young creatives out there to understand that they're not alone.
Exactly.
I'm here in the fight, and there's a bunch of other people that are here in the fight with me, and yeah, I want to inspire people to not give up on that unbeaten path. That's
right.
on,
and that's exactly what the Healthy Grind's about too.
Yeah. And, shouts out to the Healthy Grind. That graphic is beautiful.
Well, let me tell you about that graphic. Actually, that graphic is it's me. It's my background, and what that hammer represents is my grandfather, who and my family. My uncle, my dad, who were contractors.
Yeah,
and so the only thing I know is hard work, and by swinging a hammer, and that wood is what this space is all about. The fact that it's homey. It's organic, if you want to throw that word in there, and it's natural. And the Healthy Grind should kind of feel that way too. No synthetics, anything like that. And then you can tie that spoon into the equation, because that's the old school Italian. I'm not just talking about the beatdowns. I'm talking about family values. I'm talking about my grandmother, my mother, my aunts.
A spoon definitely represents some beatdowns.
Oh yeah, well, but that's important, because sometimes we need a little discipline, for sure. Yeah. I think nowadays probably these kids need a little more discipline. That's another story. And it's what we have here also. It's family. It's the connectivity. It's the respect. And the way that I felt growing up is we never had a ton of money, but the family values were always there. And the love went further than any money I could ever have in the world. And the grind came just because I wanted to accomplish things, and just grow. Yeah. And that's where really the journey continues. And when it comes to the Healthy Grind, this show is really to inspire anyone to kind of be on a path that they feel good about. Obviously, we relate it to fitness and to good eating, because there's a direct correlation to how that contributes to the mind and to behaviors and to success. And so, Sawandi, I just want to thank you again, because you're someone that's been my coach. You're a friend. Yeah. You're someone I love getting down in the ciphers with. And just to clarify thing, the cipher is the dance circle. For those who don't really know the lingo in the dance, hip hop, b-boy world, everybody look out for this podcast that Sawandi's running, the Alchemy Podcast. Where can people link up with you?
You can find me on Instagram, SawandIWilson. Last name is much easier to spell. Instagram at Sawandi Wilson. The YouTube channel for the Alchemy Podcast is going to be up soon too. Alchemy Podcast, subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the Healthy Grind podcast if you're not already, because this is a great podcast and I love what it's about. And or you could do sawandiwilson.com. Either way, it's all going to be linked up.
I like how you were charming everybody on the camera.
You got to do what you got to do, man. You know?
Well, thank you, my brother.
Thank you for having
All
me,
right.
man.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Healthy grind. We out.
Healthy grind.